let's just imagine, for a second, what if the government in Iran changed like overnight? It's a huge question, right? With massive global implications. So, in this explicable, we're going to dig into exactly that. The potential chain reactions, this geopolitical butterfly effect that could honestly reshape the world as we know it. And look, this isn't just some abstract thought experiment. We're talking about a single event in Iran potentially triggering these huge unforeseen consequences all across the globe. So, what could those waves of change actually look like? Let's get into it and break it down. Alright, here's the plan. First, we'll touch on why Iran is so important. Then, we'll get into this whole butterfly effect idea. After that, we'll look at the potential rise of what's being called an Islamic NATO. See what America's strong options might be. And wrap up with a look at the new information battlefield. So, first things first, why all the focus on Iran? Well, it's because Iran isn't just some regional player. It's a genuine global crossroads. You think about its location, its resources, its political influence. All of that means that any big internal shift there has the power to literally redraw maps and alliances all over the world. And that brings us right to the core idea we're exploring today. This geopolitical butterfly effect. You've probably heard the concept, right? A butterfly flaps its wings in Brazil and it sets off a tornado in Texas. The idea here is exactly the same, just with politics. A seemingly small change in one spot can set off a massive, unpredictable chain reaction everywhere else. Yeah. So, we're not just talking about a simple cause and effect, like it leads to be nope. We are trying to trace this incredibly complex web of potential reactions, political, economic, military, you name it, that could all ripple out from just one single event. At its heart, it's cause and effect, but on a massive, global scale. And the crazy part is the final outcomes can be wildly different and way, way bigger than whatever that initial event was. So with that in mind, let's look at the first potential shockwave. Okay. Get ready for this one. The first major potential consequence we're talking about is a total game, the creation of a brand new military and political alliance, and it's being called an Islamic NATO. And let me be clear, this wouldn't be just some loose coalition. The thinking goes that if there is a power vacuum in Iran, other regional powers might feel the need to band together to form a really formal network built on mutual defense. You know, it'd be a way to handle new threats, project their own power, and in the process, completely change the global security landscape. And if you want to know just how serious this could be, think about this. The whole thing would be based on a principle just like NATO's famous Article 5. You know, the one an attack on one member is an attack on all of them. That one little clause would give this new alliance incredible political and military muscle right from day one. So on top of that, attack on one is an attack on all packed. This alliance would probably focus heavily on counter-terrorism. They'd almost certainly be using advanced drone tech. And this is huge. It could totally realign relationships with big players like China and Russia. It might even shift who controls some of the most important trade routes on the planet. Primera mea, wow. Okay, so with all that on the table, the obvious next question is, how would the United States react? Well, faced with these potential changes in Iran, Washington has apparently been looking at several strategic responses, and they're being described as strong options. This quote pretty much says it all. It really sets a serious tone, right? It's a clear signal that the responses being considered aren't small. They're designed to exert maximum pressure. So, what are they exactly? Well, it looks like three very different paths are on the table. First up, cyber attacks. And we're not talking about just simple hacking. This means targeting and crippling critical infrastructure like the entire banking system to create chaos from the inside. The second option is more indirect, supporting internal protest movements by using tech like satellite internet to help them organize and communicate. And then, of course, there's the traditional option, straight up military force with things like airstrikes and deploying troops. So you take these potential new alliances and you combine them with these multi-layered strategies, and what you get is a picture of a totally new era of conflict, one that's fought just as much with information as it is with actual armies. This has a name, actually. It's called fifth-generation warfare, and here the goal isn't always to occupy territory with soldiers. Instead, it's all about influencing populations, disrupting systems, and getting what you want politically, but using non-physical tools to do it. It's a complete reimagining of what war even means. Just look at the difference here. It's pretty stark, right? Traditional warfare is all about troops and bombs, about taking physical control of a place. But this new kind of conflict, it uses social media campaigns, cyber attacks on infrastructure, and really targeted information to control the story, to shape how people think and what they believe. So what does this all mean? It means the battlefield itself has evolved. It's not just on land or sea anymore. Now victory might depend less on who has the bigger army and more on who is better at dominating the online information space. And that really leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. As we watch these strategies shift away from physical force and toward digital influence, you really have to ask yourself, in the world we live in today, what's actually the more powerful weapon? A keyboard or a tank? An internet connection or an entire army?